Are you backing up in a
Why am I using this music, which is probably going to be edited out by YouTube's robots and mechanical Turks? The reason is because this has been the craziest NBA season I've seen in a long time. Okay? And I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Well, at least we know the matchups heading into the NBA play-in games and the NBA playoffs. And we're joined today by Mr. Adam Rips, who's apparently NBA extraordinaire. Collecting extraordinaire. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back to another episode of Lucas, Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. This is hands down the most excited episode I've had in a long time. I have Rips on, I have Cage on. I'm so excited for NBA playoffs. I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start.
I'll start for you. So I bring in Rips as reinforcements because I know what I know, but more importantly, I know what I don't know. And last year we did an NBA preview, and my co-host here, Coach Goldberg, he basically got everything right. I mean, I don't know. Everybody can say now they called it, but this dude called the Heat. He called Tyler Hero. He called it all. Like he nailed it. And I know going in when I say the Hornets are going to win they're going to win the championship this year. They're going to take home
the national championship. They are going to win the national championship.
They're college team. Listen, in one little mistake and you got to jump all over me, man. I mean, if I wanted this shit, I would just get married. What are you doing to me? So yes, if I'm going to come on here and say the Hornets are going to win the whole thing, I'm look like an idiot. So I brought in a proxy. I brought in a ringer. I brought in Adam Rips, who, by the way, folks, very generously, I literally messaged him on Instagram like 37 seconds ago. I was like, hey, you want to jump on and do an NBA preview episode? Because I don't know what I'm talking about. And he's like, sure, send me a link. So applaud that man. Applaud that man is right. If any of this gets up on YouTube because of the copyright issues that Andrew just created for us.
Thank you.
But yeah, man, listen, I'm excited too. How about you, Rips? You excited for the playoffs?
It is the play-in tournament eve, the happiest day of the year. So yes, I think the fact that the Cavs and Warriors are playing each other when 5 years ago we were all like, this is the championship for the next decade, that they're playing in the play-in is very fun.
Listen, that Lakers Warriors thing, that's impressive stuff.
Yeah.
I know what you meant.
I said Cavs.
You still got LeBron behind you there in the picture with the Cavs jersey on. I know that's okay. I knew exactly what.
It's shocking. It's shocking that he left the Cavs the first time to go to the South Beach. Shocking he left him twice. I don't want this to be all about LeBron because he truthfully doesn't deserve all of our attention. But I will tell you, the thing for me, this might be me. I remember every single person that's ever spited me. I do. I take it personally. I take it so personally. And you guys are sitting there, what is this guy talking about? I'm talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. Look who they get to match up with in the first round of the Eastern Conference. Tell me that they're not pissed the F off that last year the Miami Heat took them out. And I'm sitting here thinking the Bucks have the best shot at the NBA Finals that I've seen. And I'll explain why. They get a revenge game. I don't know if you guys watch NBA, but revenge games are the games to watch. What I mean by it is it's hard to find motivation in the NBA. There's 82 games. It's a long season. But revenge games, they always have a little bit of extra energy, extra flair. And that's what I'm seeing here in this first round matchup with the Bucks and the Heat. And I think the Bucks come in and just smack them. This Heat team, they've been clicking on and off, but they haven't been the same team that they were in the finals. They also had a short off season where other teams like the Bucks, they had a few extra weeks, maybe an extra month or two to rest, recover. I expect this first round series to go to the Bucks. I expect the sweep. And not only that, I expect them to have an extra level of confidence and momentum heading into the second round series, which they play the Nets. That's a big series.
This. I'm going to jump on here because I'm going to make Rips. He's going to recuse himself because he is the biggest Giannis fanboy ever in the history of time. But I'm going to channel him. If you go back to the beginning of the year when we had Rips on, right? We talked about the Bucks and we talked about how was he disappointed by not making the playoffs? And he pointed to two things that were huge for the Bucks upgrade, right? Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis. He mentioned those guys. Go back, replay it. Those were the two additions to this team that he mentioned as huge upgrades and difference makers. Why? Right? And I don't know basketball, but I know this. Miami exposed two things about the Bucks last year in the playoffs: lack of depth, horrible 3-point shooting. Now, Bucks record this year, 46-25. Do you guys want to take a guess what it was with Drew Holiday and without him? So 46-25 overall. With Holiday, 41-18. Without him, 5-7. My man Rips over here was the one who said Holiday was a big pickup. Led the team in steals, averaged 17.7 a game, almost 40% from three. Bobby Portis was the other thing you mentioned. Bobby Portis, ex-Knick. Everybody's like, come on, Bobby Portis. He's just junky depth, right? Sixth man of the year, he's going to get some votes. Likely not going to win it, but he's going to get some votes, right? Leads all rotational players in three-point efficiency, 47.1%. They added Forbes, who you also mentioned, Rips, burying 45% of his threes. It's a huge difference. I love to disagree with Andrew, but in this instance, I can't. I'd actually think the sweep is in the works also. How about you, Rips? You want to add anything to that, or did I do a decent enough job?
You did a great job. I'm very, very high on the Bucks this year. I'm not going to predict a sweep because I don't want to do any type of jinxing here. So I'm going to go in 5. Give Miami a game. Maybe they have an off night. They're not hitting threes. Jimmy Butler has a crazy game. Whatever happens, I think that the Bucks are going to do it. Giannis is very, very hungry. I think the whole team's pretty hungry. What you said about Portis, like the fact that Giannis may have a couple other options that he didn't have last year. Holiday's a huge addition on the defensive end too. He can guard up Butler. Maybe Butler won't average a triple-double this series or like he did last time or something close to it, or have 50-point games and whatever it is. So I think he's big on the defensive end, especially because Miami killed the Bucks with threes last year. And now that the Bucks have a 7-footer who can hit threes in the corner, it can open up a bit more for Giannis. He historically has been easy to expose when, in a regular season game, they may not need to stop him as much. It may not matter as much. But then when the defense in a playoff game shifts their focus to purely Giannis, he's very – and that goes for really any player. Every player has the weaknesses. Giannis has more than others just because he's mainly a post player. But the fact that now he, can drive and kick it to a 7-footer, and then that 7-footer could also drive. He just has more threats on offense and on defense, so I think it's going to be a different look this year.
And when Milwaukee got better, the Heat got worse. Last year when they faced each other, the Heat offense was a top 10 offense. Now they're a bottom 10 offense. And they tried to get better with Oladipo, but with him hurt, it's just a very different matchup.
Yes, and then, I think that, like Andrew mentioned, the second round poses some interesting ones, but that Brooklyn matchup is a little concerning for a diehard Giannis guy, but Bucks won that season series 2-1, despite not playing a healthy Nets team. But we also don't know if they're going to be a healthy Nets team in the playoffs, or if Kyrie's going to be focusing elsewhere, which is fine, especially for me. If Kyrie wants to sit out a couple days for a birthday or whatever it is, he can do that against the Bucks. I won't have a problem with it.
But the issue with the NBA playoffs, it's not that these teams can't match up and beat each other. It's not that the Bucks can't necessarily beat the Nets. It's, do they have to win 3 difficult series, 2 difficult series, or 1 difficult series? That's a big deal. It's interesting. I think did the Bucks beat the Heat in the first round in the bubble last year? Do you guys remember?
The Bucks lost. Oh, you mean the first game?
The first round. Was it a first round matchup? The Bucks and the Heat?
No, the Bucks played the Magic last year in the first round, I believe.
Very interesting. The reason is because the playoffs are they're a lot like the March Madness. And especially this year where there's been a lot of uncertainty, momentum is a big thing. So if you guys remember last year in the bubble, the Bucks had no momentum. The Bucks played really poorly before the playoff games start, and they didn't even play that well against the Magic. And they carried in that kind of like negative momentum into the series with the Heat. And the Heat were on fire going into that series. Right here, we kind of have the reverse. The Heat did win a couple big games against the Sixers going in, but the Heat really haven't had momentum. They've had a little bit of inconsistency in the rotations. And the Bucks, I think, finished the season with a lot of momentum. And that's a big deal. And if they really have a good, kind of like revenge series against the Heat and they carry that into Brooklyn, I think they can win, go 2-0 against Brooklyn in the second round. I still think it's a 7-round series. 7-game series. We know that's going to be a tough series, but that momentum is a big thing, in my opinion.
So which game you want to go to next? I could pick one.
Hey, your co-host.
It dovetails right on that momentum. There are some teams going into the postseason with some real momentum, and one of them is one I'm going to pick as an upset here. I think the Blazers knock off the Nuggets. I think that's what's going to happen there, right? Because the same thing, man. Peaking at the right time is exactly what you're talking about with momentum, right? So I mean, some might argue the Mavericks, but I say postseason entrance right now. Portland is entering as hot as anybody. They've won 9 of their last 11. They just played Denver. It was pretty much a meaningless game for Denver, but they blew them out. And Lillard, so I'm a fat guy. When you go to like Dave and Buster's and you open them up, right? And you wanna like go ahead and eat and play games. If you set the record, you win a whole bunch of tickets. But you don't want to set the record too high in any of these games, right? You want to just set it so that you can break it again and win the bonus tickets and keep breaking it yourself. You don't want to set it too high. That's Damian Lillard. He's playing he's playing Dave and Buster's games. Last year he set the franchise record with 3-pointers, 270. But he set it just the right number so he could break it again this year at 271. Pretty funny, right? So he just went one above and reset his franchise. I mean, no one's playing ball at the level he's playing right now. He's peaking at exactly the right time. And, I mean, before that final game of the season where they didn't let him play the whole game just to give him a little bit of rest, he had 30 points or more in 7 straight games going down the stretch. I mean, talk about an MVP caliber player peaking, going into the playoffs at the right time. But here's the one, right? Since they are the lower seed, they're going to have to win one game at least in Denver. And this team here is they're one of the better teams. I think they were second in the league in road wins, if my notes are accurate here, right? So Portland has no lack of playoff experience, and they clearly have 22 road victories this year, tied for second most in the NBA, right? So they got a lot of things working for them. Not to mention the Nuggets being a little injured, right? I mean, Barton hasn't played since April. He was their 4th leading scorer. Obviously, they lost Murray. They're not going to stop Jokic. They're not going to stop the Joker. But, I don't think they're going to have to. So there's one of my upsets. Go. That's it. No one's saying anything.
That's not how you co-host. You just laid it out. I mean, what can I add to that?
Well, you can tell me you think Denver's going to win.
I don't. I think Portland's going to win. I think Michael Porter Jr.'s inexperience is going to hurt him because it's not the issue with Porter Jr. is not that he doesn't get buckets. The guy's a machine. You guys saw this with he's other than Will Chamberlain, he's had the highest effective field goal percentage at like 60%. Have you seen that or no? I don't know why that.
Yes,
that's an eye roll.
It was just one of those like. He's got the highest effective scoring percentage on Tuesdays while it's raining, and Rips is standing on his left foot while touching his nose. It was one of the weirdest statistics ever, obviously, by somebody who's holding Michael Porter Jr. cards. It was like he has the highest effective field goal percentage for anyone who has scored at least 17 points, except for Will Chamberlain. What the hell? So what are there? 11 other guys who have a higher effective field goal percentage, but they only average 16.8. So those guys don't count. Take them out of the equation. Come on, dude. So I mean, if I were in the NBA, I'd have the highest scoring average of anybody who has a full back hair, sweater going on. Like, what kind of stupid statistic is this?
When you move to Puerto Rico or Tulum, we'll have to get you a nice wax.
Are you volunteering? Are you going to do it for me?
No, I'm going to pay for it because I make my own money now.
No, I'm not going to do it. You got to do it yourself. Let's go. Look at Rick. He's like, I came on here for this.
It's an important stat because it talks about how efficient you are. But the point is, you're not going to stop Michael Porter Jr., but I think the Blazers are experienced enough to throw a few different defenders at him. They're going to throw Covington at him. They're going to throw a few guys off the bench. So he's not going to feel settled. And I think this is a series that they're really going to miss Jamal Murray being that third scorer. Right, because the Blazers are interesting. They kind of changed their game up a little bit this year. They went all offense. They just were like, F the defense. We're going to go 3 guards. By the way, CJ's played really well recently, and no one's given him any love. They're going to go 3 guards. They have Norman Powell, who's really great as well. I just think they're going to get outscored. I don't think Denver is going to be able to score enough in this series to keep up with the Blazers, and neither team really defends that well.
All right, so where do you want to go next? Where do you want to go next? We could do the play-in for the end. I mean, I don't know.
Guys, this is the best part. This is the best part. Before this, Cage and I were just like syncing. He's like, oh, by the way, I have a surprise for you. I'm going to have Adam Rips on, and I'm just going to go to the background and kind of co-host. And then he's like, oh, wait a second. I just bit off more than I could chew. I don't know how to co-host. So where do you want to go next?
Yeah, where do you want to go next?
No. Let's talk about something, a thesis that I have, and this is directed at you, Rips. I think that both number 1 seeds in the West and in the East are very vulnerable. True or false?
I don't think the Jazz are as vulnerable. I don't know. I think Philly's more.
Smile out of him.
I think that Philly could be more vulnerable than the Jazz. I think that the Jazz have done surprisingly well without Donovan. They've done worse, but they've had guys who have picked up the slack, which could be helpful for playoffs. Guys that have learned to take a bigger role, and I think that's going to serve them well. Jordan Clarkson, Gobert's, doing whatever he does. But I think that the Jazz, when Donovan Mitchell comes back healthy, which he will, he's been out for like a month and a half with a sprained ankle. I'm thinking just precautionary. They secured the 1 seed. It looks like that they're going to be playing either. It looks like Memphis. I mean, it wouldn't be great for them to play Golden State or someone like LeBron. I'm pretty sure the Lakers are going to win that play-in and end up playing Phoenix, which is where I think that LeBron's going to be taking out Devin Booker and that squad. But I think that Utah's going to hold their own against any other team. And then they play either the Clippers or Dallas, and I think that they're going to get past that. So I would disagree with Utah. But I think that Philly could take a couple shots. It looks like, and I think both teams are going to easily get past the play-in. And then Philadelphia has either New York and Atlanta. I think that Atlanta would be a tougher matchup just because they have Collins and Capella in the paint for a team that has Embiid and Simmons. And then they also have Trey and among others on offense as weapons. So I think that Philly would have a harder time against Atlanta than, let's say, Utah would against the Clippers or Dallas. The Clippers could be a sneaky team too, but I think that, I want to call them vulnerable.
But think about what we just said. You just defined what vulnerable is. And we're talking about the NBA. The number 1 seed in the NBA historically dominates 4 seeds. It's not even a matchup. And this year, both are questionable, or they could face a slightly more difficult matchup against the 4 seed. And it just proves, I think, a little bit more of the parity that's going on in the NBA, where this season is a little bit more up for grabs than we've seen in previous years, where the NBA used to be so top-heavy. Quick question, Rips, 2 questions actually for you. You have a new microphone over there, don't you? You kind of have like a whole podcast setup going.
I do not.
The volume's pretty loud. I don't know if it's the same for you, Cage.
I'm drinking soda over here. I don't know.
I'm using the same thing I've used on the other 9 episodes we've done.
Second thing. Do you guys have show and tell in high school still? And have you brought in your Giannis cards to show and tell?
G-rated. He's G-rated show and tell like he did in elementary school. He's not talking about any other craziness that goes on in high school, Rips.
Isn't show and tell like you bring in your cards and you're like, this is how I got them? Or show and tell?
No show and tell.
Do the kids in your school know about your 6-figure collection? 7-figure?
No.
12-figure?
Because I really keep a lot of that to myself. Like I don't feel the need to share it or, be a flexing fox. I don't.
Did we just have a V-friend dropped in an episode for the first time? Like a legit, not like a make fun of V-friend. That's like a real V-friend, isn't it? A flexing fox is a real thing. Oh man, this guy. Look, this is what I get for inviting him. A flexing fox. That's good. Good for you, man. Good for you. All right.
I'm not a flexing fox. Keep it humble. A. B. I also know that in the next 5 to 10 years, many people from my high school may not be as sane as they are now, and I don't want them hunting my house or my head in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow. He really took the Gary's advice, thinking decades, to a whole new level.
I like it.
Thinking 10-year terms.
Flexing fox. You gotta love it.
Let me so my Sixers. I love the Sixers. I'm a Philly guy. I guess that's why I'm probably so critical. But let me read to you guys who the Sixers have beat since the last month and a half. They beat the Magic, the Pistons, the Pelicans, the Rockets, the Bulls, the Spurs in overtime. They beat the Hawks twice. Thunder, they beat the Clippers without Kawhi. They beat the Nets without Durant and Harden. They beat the Timberwolves, Celtics, and Cavs. That's been their last month of victories. Do you want to hear who they've lost to? They've lost to the Heat. They've lost to the Pacers. They've lost to the Bucks twice. They lost to the Warriors. They lost to the Suns. They lost to the Pelicans. They lost to the Grizz. They haven't beat a single good team.
Is that
a little bit over a month and a half?
Part of that had either Simmons or Embiid injured, correct? Or am I wrong in saying that?
Simmons and Embiid have been on an not a ton, but yes, but not a ton.
I know, I think that it's just tough for them because, and it goes with a couple other teams. It's hard to predict this type of stuff because injuries have been so prominent. Like the Bucks are playing the Nets. The Bucks haven't played a Nets with all no, I don't think any team in the league has besides a few have played a healthy Nets team. Like the Bucks haven't played the Nets with all three players. I think that the Hawks would be okay. I'm going on the right track here. The Hawks have only played Philly once when Philly has Embiid and Simmons, and that would be their next matchup. So it's hard to game plan for it and predict what's going to happen. But yeah, Philadelphia has definitely had some weaknesses. I think that the Knicks versus Atlanta series is going to be one of my favorites to watch. They have the exact same record. But I think the winner of that, I would be surprised if Philly loses, but it wouldn't be like the craziest thing that's happened.
Let's talk about that series. Let's talk about the Hawks and the Knicks. What do you think?
The Hawks and Knicks are interesting to me because I just looked at how well Julius Randle's been doing against the Hawks. So it kind of reminds me of the Giannis situation where if you can stop Julius, you can stop the team because it doesn't look like anyone else has really been able to step up against the Hawks. So the Knicks are 3-0 against the Hawks this year, 3-0. And so in one game, Randle had 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 9 assists. In the next game, he had, check this out, holy cow, 44 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. And in the last game, which was around a month ago, he had 40 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. So we had, he's probably averaging close to a 40-point triple-double in these games, which is crazy. And then the next guy's up, Quickly and Rose contributing, pretty well. Derrick Rose has been, pretty big for that team. But it would be if the Hawks can stop Julius Randle, which they haven't been able to yet. If they can game plan for him, I think that they have a much better time against them. And I think Trey's going to do really, really well. It's his first playoffs appearance. He's been in the shadows for a little while now. I think that, and I'm hoping that he's able to perform and that he's hungry. I hope that he's smart and it's not just trying to score and prove people wrong. I hope that he focuses on winning first, and maybe they're able to get passed around. But I think that those teams are very interesting matchup.
Derrick Rose gets legit consideration for Sixth Man of the Year. Julius Randle, legit consideration for Most Improved Player. Might even get some down ballot MVP votes. That guy, if you look at his numbers, I was a Randle fan last year. I was buying his Prism card, but nobody cared. If you look at his numbers, I don't know if he passed him with some performance in the late games. But I remember Joe Johnson, who, on the Nets was obviously one hell of a three-point shooter. He improved from one year to the next from 31% to 46 or 47%. It was the largest improvement. Randle was close to that. Last year he shot 28% from three. And this year he was 42 or 43%. A huge, when you're shooting in the 20s and you improve that to the 40s, that just means one thing. That means time in the gym. And that means you're working on your game, which is, that's an impressive thing, right? So I don't know, man. That's a fun series to watch. But you're right. Randle has basically owned those guys. So I give the Knicks the edge just based on that. They have not figured out a way to stop him.
And with the Hawks as well. Have you got, especially with the Hall of Fame ceremony that just happened, I think that the GOAT debate is over. I think that, everyone's back and forth, Jordan and LeBron. And no one is giving credit to the person who had the first ever 50-50-100 season, Tony Snell.
MVP. 100%.
Of course. And
50-50-100. That's amazing. Good for him.
Whoever thinks LeBron is the greatest of all time, please just go on YouTube and search Michael Jordan highlights, and you're just gonna see he's not close to the greatest of all time. Just keep going.
No, come on, you're gonna get killed. He is close. There's no way to make an argument that he's outside the top 5. Most people would say top 3 because you got some Kobe love.
Jordan is so much far and away number
but
1.
You said
it's not even close.
No, I'm not going down this road. Poor Rips is like, don't drag me into this. My DMs are gonna get blasted. God.
Jordan, Giannis, LeBron.
Will. Oh, Giannis, yes. He goes Giannis. Giannis ahead of LeBron. I love it. You just took some of the smoke from Andrew. That's great. He may end up there. Who knows? We'll see what happens. This playoffs could go a long way on Giannis's legacy, 100%. You guys want to chat about
LeBron's going to be a better businessman than Jordan. LeBron has more of an owner mentality.
All right.
Jordan was just the best employee of all time, and that employee was in the NBA, and he dominated year after year.
He's also a great owner. And if you haven't seen him basically biff Malik Monk on the sidelines, look that up on YouTube because that's hilarious. He basically just whooped a smack in the head. It's great stuff. So listen, this postseason has something that we have not had in the NBA, right? So, we had the crazy bubble last year, and now we have a play-in tournament, right? And they could have done a play-in tournament just for 8. They could have done, whatever. But they made 7, which I was listening during the Pelicans game this week. The owner of the Pelicans was on. And he was like, yeah, I like the play-in. It's good. And obviously, it prevents some teams from tanking so early on. The team still did it. We obviously played, but we had some injuries. But making somebody play for the 7 seed in the NBA is tough. And he said, basically, that's a team that's 2-3 games above 500 in both of those leagues. It's a team that has, really, done well enough for themselves to make the playoffs. And now you're making them play for their lunch, basically. That's a difficult spot to put them in. But that's where we are. And it adds some, like you said, Andrew, March Madness, some excitement to it. So if you don't mind, I'm going to mute my mic. This way I don't say the Hornets are just basically winning the whole thing. And I want to hear what you guys take on the play and start in the East, man, because that's Andrew's baby. That's the Wizards. So let's start with that game.
Who's the question directed to?
Dude, your baby. Go ahead. Have fun. Go ahead, Andrew. Talk about the Wizards.
What's the question? Just talk about them?
All right, Rip, what do you think of that game?
Yeah, when Brooklyn, I think you just said with the 7 seed, it hurts Brooklyn. I mean, it hurts Boston heavily because it doesn't give them a 7-game series. They just lost Jaylen Brown, so they've gone the whole season with Jaylen Brown. Season, comes to an end, and now it's possible that they just lose everything that they've worked the whole season for, and just a game once they lose and they have to play Brooklyn. No, if they lose this, they'll have they're not going to have an easy path. So the fact that they don't have Jaylen Brown anymore, and now they're just, going to go up against Washington, where I think they are a weaker team in that instance because they don't have Jaylen. They're not going to have a lot of time. He just went out for the season, I think, last week. They're not going to have a ton of time to adjust and make the changes that they need to go without Jaylen, especially on both ends. He's a great two-way player. So the fact that Boston lost him, I think is big. They don't get to do a 7-game series. It's just going to be, I think that Washington beats them because Westbrook is Westbrook and he's been doing great. And I don't think Tatum takes him down. He's had some really good games, but Tatum could either go 45 or 15. And then, it looks like they're going to have to go and play, 2 games to even try and get a shot in the playoffs against Philly. And that's going to be a little tough. Or Philadelphia or Brooklyn. If they play either of those teams without Jaylen Brown, I think that's super tough. So I think that Boston takes an early exit.
Beal is the best offensive player in the league except for Stephen Curry. Let me rephrase that. Beal is the best offensive guard in the league, second to Stephen Curry.
Who's got an effective field goal percentage with scoring or above 17 points. And no, that's it. That's just Curry and him.
It's funny. I said that, and it's crazy how good. Luka's right there. I'll put him in the top 5 because I really want to bite my tongue on this. But Beal is incredible. Beal is so freaking good. I think he doesn't get enough love because of where he spent his career. But that team's just clicking. I mean, frankly, there's no need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the NBA. Teams that are clicking at the end of the season are more than likely going to be clicking as they enter the postseason. And the Celtics haven't clicked all year. So I don't know what magic they're hoping will happen to click into the playoffs. But I think the Wizards are tough. I said the Wizards are going to be tough all year. Frankly, they've overperformed. Their team is garbage outside of Russell Westbrook and Beal. No, their team is pitiful. It's embarrassing. They should be D-League players throughout. But hopefully next year they could add some supporting cast. But it's going to be how far can Beal and Westbrook take this team with, and I'm a big fan of this guy. I'm so excited for him next year, Daniel Gafford. That's been the only bright spot. I mean, the guy comes in, he's averaging, per 36 minutes, a famous rip stat, 20 points a game, 4 blocks a game, 10 rebounds. The guy is a stud. He's amazing in the pick and roll, which gives Westbrook some options. You could even see, since Gafford has come over, Westbrook's shooting has gone up. Why? Because Westbrook needs a pick and roll guy. He's always had him. It makes him feel more comfortable. In games where he's not shooting well, he could lob some balls up to Gafford and get some confidence for his game. So I'm excited about the Wizards. I think they could give Brooklyn a run for their money. I think the Wizards are going to be 7 seed. Brooklyn's going to be 2 seed. It reminds me of last year's Trailblazers-Lakers series. Was it really competitive? No. But was it fun to watch? Yes.
I love the stories, right? I mean, obviously the backcourt for Boston is friends with the backcourt for Washington. They grew, the St. Louis natives grew up together, right? Tatum, right?
Tatum and
what's his name? Beal.
They grew up together?
Yeah, St. Louis, right? I'm pretty sure they did.
I don't know. They didn't invite me to their party, so how was I supposed to know?
No, I'm pretty sure they did, right? I mean,
how? Beal is like 30, Tatum's like 21.
No, they're friends, man. They're both from
talk about show and tell. That would be inappropriate.
Well, I'm telling you, they're pals. I've seen them. I've seen them at the end of the games. Beal and Tatum, definitely both St. Louis guys, both friends. I'm 100% sure of it. But talk about like a weird like mirror, right? What's going to win out? Home field advantage or momentum coming in? What do we got? We got the backcourt here of Tatum and Cardiac Kemba, or is it going to be Beal? I mean, they got nothing else. Neither
Kemba's going to be smiling, win or lose. The Kemba's going to be high-fiving. Good job, guys. He doesn't. Kemba could care less if they win or lose.
Because he's got his check, right? Is that's where we're going? So listen, the fun part about this is I'm hoping for the Wizards to advance and get the 7th seed and play the Nets, because the best storyline that I want coming out of this is Westbrook beating Harden and Durant. Talk about the OKC ties right there. That would be real nice, right? Two guys team up against one and the one takes out the two. That would be nice. That'd be a fun little NBA story. But here's where I'm going to go with this one and take it to the next.
Miracles don't happen that often.
After the Celtics lose, they also lose to the Hornets.
I think so.
So
I think the Hornets beat the Pacers. I think the Hornets beat the Pacers.
Talk about that. Talk about that, because they don't have Turner, right? I mean, they haven't had him. He's been injured for a long time. And the Hornets don't have Gordon Hayward, probably.
Unless my guy Goge Tazde on the Pacers just starts just dropping 3 after 3, that Pacers team has been a disaster all year. And I think Karis LeVert might be the dumbest player when it comes to like making decisions at the end of the game, because he literally fouled. I'll never forget this. He destroyed Westbrook on the. They shouldn't even be in this game. They should be an 8 seed, but I'm not even going to get into that. He destroyed Westbrook on that game-winning shot, and then he was like, "What happened?" The Pacers have been a disaster, and this is a team. This is a matchup between 2 incompetent teams, and which one's just going to mess up worse, or which team wants it more? I think the Hornets just want it more. I think it's just purely going to be that, and I think they actually blitz the Pacers.
So before Rips goes, I got a question for you, because we were talking about momentum going in. There may not be a team left, playing, non-lottery team, play-ins and whatnot, that has performed worse going into this than the Hornets. I don't know the last time they won a game. We were talking about them 2 weeks ago, and you were like, the Hornets are a 4th seed. I think great. Basically they just continue to fall.
I don't think the Hornets have negative momentum. I think that they've just been outmatched and outperformed and out talent-wise, but I think they played well all year. They're just not a very talented team.
They lost 5 straight going into this one.
But it's not like they just lost 5 straight and they're a talented team and they're playing poorly and they have no confidence and all that. They're not a talented team. Their best player is who's their best player? Terry Rozier?
You can argue it's LaMelo Ball now, actually, but yeah, Terry Rozier shooting. You can argue LaMelo, Miles Bridges. They don't really have, some spectacular like leader. At least not right now.
They're a young team. I don't think that they have negative momentum going in the same way that I would say the Sixers don't have very much momentum because they've underperformed their talent. I think the Hornets have overperformed all season based on what their talent is and based on the injuries they have. But Rips, I'll kick it over to you.
Pacers or Hornets, Rips?
I like the Pacers. I think that Sabonis and LeVert both are very capable of having a great game. And I'm trying to look up LeVert's stats. Like, he's had a bunch of 20 to 30 point nights lately. Sabonis has put up some really strong games. So I think that those two guys, could put it together for even just a game or two and get it going. Still, you got to wonder how much any of this is really going to matter. I don't really see any of these guys. Like, I can't see the 1 seeds going down to, a 9 or 10 seed. I mean, I think 8, 9, 10 seed from the play-ins. I just don't really see it. It's not to say it can't happen, but, if Philly may not have momentum, but, even without Simmons or Embiid, I still think that, that team would still take, Indiana or Charlotte pretty easily, 4 or 5 games. So I don't know. I think that Indiana wins it, but in the end, both teams are out pretty early.
I think something we need to talk about, it's when I say number 1 seeds are vulnerable, for example, Jazz are vulnerable or Sixers are vulnerable, it's not that they're going to lose to an 8, 9, or 10 seed. It's just that doesn't happen in the NBA. It's happened once with the old Warriors when they beat the Mavs. It just doesn't happen in the NBA. The question is twofold, right? Do they blow them out? Do they sweep them 4-0 and use those extra off days as practice time? Versus do they go 5 or 6 games, which is a big deal. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's a very big deal. Those opening round series, how quickly you dismantle the lower seeds. It matters. It really does.
Didn't the Knicks advance as an 8 seed? I was going to look it up, but I was pretty sure they did. I mean, I think it was a year where they had some injuries and then they got healthy, but I'm pretty sure the Knicks advanced.
You're talking about like 1993. It was only a 4-year-old.
No, I don't know if it's that, yeah, but I think
we didn't have cable cage.
I don't know.
We immigrated. We had no money. We had no dinero.
No dinero. But I'm pretty sure they did. I don't know if it was either Sprewell was injured or Houston was injured, and they came back and they actually did pretty well as an 8 seed.
Yes. Do you know who Sprewell is?
Latrell. Yes.
No,
he does.
You know his first name. Do you watch Latrell? You heard about him? He was a personality, Cage.
He was definitely a personality. Just ask PJ Colmissimo. I think it was 1999, and the 8 seed Knicks made it to the finals.
That's cool.
It happens. Doesn't happen often, obviously.
If Charlotte pulls it off, LaMelo, if Charlotte pulls it off, the first game, I'm just trying to think of like LaMelo prices because it's his first ever playoff appearance. Playoff kind of. I think that it's possible to me that Charlotte wins the game, and then they have a matchup against Boston, and they beat Boston in that one too without Jaylen Brown, and then they end up playing the Sixers. But I think that Philadelphia would be incredibly happy to have a matchup against Charlotte. That's their best case scenario. I think that Philly would even do better against them than they would against Indiana because Indiana's got Sabonis who can stop them. So Philadelphia wants Charlotte to win hands down. Like that's a good matchup.
Because Cody, like we talked about this, Cody Zeller is not stopping Embiid. He's not stopping anyone. All right, so we got to go over to the West. Right, the West play-ins. Let's. You got the first game. I want to hear what you guys say about this. Give me the Curry versus LeBron. I'm gonna go with Rips first because I don't want to hear the LeBron hate out of Andrew that I know was about to be spewed out there. So let's let Rips go first. Tell me what happens in that 7-8 in the West.
It's definitely the Lakers. As long as LeBron and AD both play, which I'm sure they will. I think the Lakers do it. And I think that they knock out Phoenix, and I think they knock out the winner of Denver and Portland, and I could see them. They're only the 7 seed, which is they still have a 42-30 record. 42-30 record, which will get them. Let's see, that would be the 4 seed in the East with that record, and so they're a very strong team. They're just a 7 seed because they had times where AD and LeBron were out, whether it's simultaneously or not. So I think that LA is gonna, I'm shocked they're in the playoff tournament. I'm sure LeBron is too, which is why he's now criticizing it, which I know Andrew is definitely not happy about his condemnation of the play-in after preaching it just months ago. And so I think LA takes it. I think Golden State then beats the winner of Memphis and San Antonio, which it's weird that they're playing because it was always LeBron and Curry are going to be they have the super teams. They're going to be in the championship the next 10 years. And then, of course, that changed when LeBron went to LA, and just to see them not even in the playoffs yet is weird, but I think both teams get there. But I'd be shocked if LeBron somehow loses this play-in. He's LeBron. He's going to get it done. Andrew will fight otherwise.
Mr. Goldberg.
First off, it's not LeBron that plays the Warriors. It's this team called the Los Angeles Lakers with 10 to 12 guys. So it's not just LeBron. And if we talk about LeBron, the guy's been injured back basically the last 6 to 8 weeks, and he tweaked his ankle. Maybe it's for show, maybe it's for real, who knows, in the other game. But it's not even about LeBron and the Lakers. The Warriors have been playing extremely well recently. And did you guys know this? They're the 5th-ranked defensive team in the league. Silence, no big deal. I'll keep rocking because I could go on monologues for days.
Rip said no, and I didn't know either. I had no clue.
5th.
No clue.
Curry's coming into his own. Here's my guy. I'll give this out for free since I'm always value-driven, even at my own detriment. I haven't bought his cards, but I will. Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is going to be next year's 6th man of the year. The guy's been working on his game. That guy is pretty electric. The guy could beat you off the dribble. He could play make, and he has a beautiful step back three. He could shoot the mid range. Jordan Poole is someone to watch out for next season when Clay comes back. Oh, how I miss you, Clay. And then you have the Splash Brothers back. You got Draymond chatting shit to everybody, and then you got Jordan Poole off the bench. I got to give credit to the Warriors organization because they've really built a culture of positivity and improvement. They really work on developing their talent, and that's what you've seen this year. Andrew Wiggins was a lost cause till he got to the Warriors, and now he's one of the best defenders in the league. You guys probably haven't even heard of him as being a great defender, but he is. He's a really, 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 really tough cover, and he's improved his offensive game. So I'm saying that the Warriors beat the Lakers, and then the Warriors beat the Suns. Because, do you know why? Because the best player in the league is on the Warriors. And it's time to acknowledge it. It's kind of time to acknowledge it.
If there was one, if the question is if there's one player who can go out there and win one game by themselves, it's Curry. So I will give you that, right? And that's who the Lakers are facing. But, do the Lakers play to their strengths? Can they just say, all right, we have Drummond, and we have Drummond, and we have Davis.
But they haven't.
And they have nobody who's going to stop those guys. They can't stop them both. Go size, and just take advantage of that. That would be what I would do.
Well, if you have a full season, yeah, but these guys haven't played together. They have no chemistry. And it's not like you look at LeBron, Durant, Harden, and Kyrie. Why do they work? Well, because they're all ISO players. You don't need anything really. You just spread out the court and do your thing. Well, the Lakers don't have ISO players. They don't have guys that could go and get you a bucket. They're a team that should be better. What is it? The better than the sum of the full parts? Help me with that quote.
Right. It's greater.
The sum is better.
The sum is greater than the greater than the sum of its parts. Right? Is that what we're talking about? Right? So
yeah, because you guys know I could never remember these. Well, the Lakers need to.
I gotta say, this. I can't believe this headline's coming out of this episode. Andrew thinks LeBron's going to lose. I'm just shocked. I know Rips is shocked. He almost fell out of his seat. You think LeBron's going to lose? You think LeBron's going to – because, you are clearly a LeBron lover. Talk about how he's a GOAT.
I don't love on basketball guys. I don't not love on basketball guys. I just call it how I see it. Last year, I said LeBron's going to win the championship.
Rips
this year, I say –
he's raising his hand. He has something to say.
He's not in school. He could
just
just
use the restroom?
No, I'm curious if he has Memphis or San Antonio, and then what is LA going to beat the winner of that? And then are they going to beat Utah, or is Utah going to knock him out?
No, he has the Lakers. The Lakers shouldn't even be in the play-in. He has LeBron is so overrated. They're out. They're getting eliminated by the Spurs.
So I want to know if he thinks that they're not going to make the actual playoffs.
Have you seen the Spurs play a little bit recently?
No.
So
I did. I watched a game of them recently. They played the Knicks. I watched them play the Knicks.
I can't get my drawer open, but I have Keita Bates-Diop. He is finally getting some run with the Spurs the last 2 games. He was an old Buckeye, and I'm a diehard Buckeye fan, so I'm super happy that he's getting time. I don't know why it's only happening now. He didn't play like the whole year. He had like a 2-way contract, and now he's playing. So I would love for him to get some more time and to win it, but I've not watched the Spurs.
It's really interesting because I think they lose to the Warriors. I think their hardest matchup will be that Spurs team that they face off with. I think the Spurs beat the Grizz because of how young and hungry that Spurs team is, and I question how motivated the Lakers are. However, if the Lakers do get that 8th seed, and I'm the Jazz, I'm not happy at all. The Jazz don't match up well with the Lakers one bit, and I don't even know if Donovan Mitchell is 100%. So it's interesting. I actually think the Spurs and even the Grizzlies are a bigger threat, but really the Spurs to the Lakers than the Jazz in terms of matchups.
I think the Grizzlies win that game. I just do. I did watch the Spurs, and I don't know whether it was Patty Mills throwing up air balls or Keldon Johnson playing like he was invisible or the whole offense running through DeMar DeRozan, and if you can shut him down, that just kills the whole team. They didn't look impressive to me. That, like I said, the most recent game I watched them play the Knicks, and I think the penultimate or one of the last games of the season for them, and they just didn't really impress me. The Grizzlies aren't that impressive either, but for some reason I'm seeing a headline. I'm seeing a Ja Morant have a great game headline. A little playoff Ja Morant coming out party. Just you're on mute, Rips.
I see Keita Bates-Diop hits game-winning 3-pointer.
Somebody wants to dump his cards. There he is. Keita Bates-Diop. I love it. Little logo man action.
We've got the largest. I have so much of his stuff.
Oh my God! 1, 2, national treasures. 3, 4. We got 5 national treasures. RPA.
I've got like mounds of Prism colors. Keita Bates-Diop is getting it done this year.
All right, Andrew. So you are. I'm going to ask it right now. Right, co-host. You think the Lakers get knocked out of the play-in tournament? You think they don't even make it to the 7 or the 8 seed? You think they're done? You think the Lakers are a lottery team? Is what you're telling me in the draft next year?
I think they get beat by the Warriors. If they face off against the Grizzlies, they'll beat the Grizzlies. If they face off against the Spurs, I don't think they'll get by that Spurs team. That Spurs team's hungry, and they're just going to run and gun. And I don't think the Lakers are up for that.
Well, we got to clip that one right there. The Spurs take out the Lakers, guys, because we're going to know soon enough if that happens. It's going to be an interesting thing.
Why is that the prediction that you want to clip? Not that I called the Warriors beating the Lakers. That's the one I'm clearly more confident in. I'm not here to just hate on the Lakers. I'm here to pick the winners, and I think the Warriors are going to beat the Lakers. So that I'm willing to put my name on. Will the incompetent Spurs or Grizzlies beat them? I'm not sure, man. Those teams suck.
Popovich is a good coach.
All right, good. That's better. That's better.
Until he grew out a mullet, Rips.
Yeah, Popovich is looking a little strange. He's looking like, the Sasquatch that runs after people when they steal the beef jerky. He's looking like his dad. So Popovich is looking like Sasquatch.
Well, he has a crush on his assistant coach, so it's kind of like this awkward, Becky Hammond. I'm not allowed to say that. Are we sponsored by ABC News or something here? I can't say that.
No, I just wanted to do the rock eyebrow.
How about Clippers versus Dallas?
That's a good one.
I think I really want it to be that the Clippers just turn it on and knock out Dallas and Atlanta beats the Knicks, and then we finally have a situation where Trae Young is a better winner than Luka. That would be my dream come true.
We gotta have bigger dreams, brother.
Wait, if the Lakers, wait, you're saying if the Hawks take out the Knicks, which is a pretty even series, and the Clippers take out Dallas, which the Clippers are probably favored in that series. They're the higher seed, although it's probably a close match. Suddenly when that happens, when what's supposed to happen happens, Trae's better than Luka.
Yeah, no, not better. But I just want to. Last year, Last year it was that Luka's in the playoffs and Trey's not, so I just want there to be a Trey's in the playoffs and Luka's not. That's all.
So, folks, we obviously have somebody here who is making predictions based on his personal collection. Giannis is going to destroy everyone. Keita Bates Diop is going to go on fire. And Trey is going to be the ultimate winner. And Luka sucks. Okay, we got it. We understand.
You are the biggest loser. Goodbye.
No, I think that – wasn't this the same matchup we had last year? Clippers in Dallas?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Clippers do it, but Luka also is very talented. But Clippers,
Dallas,
I think.
Dallas has some momentum, and the Clippers still have Paul. So
I'm this close to believing in the Clippers. Like this close. I'm like, this team has everything they need to win. They have a winning coach. They have Tyronn Lue. Like, I mean, people forget, like, Tyronn Lue's a good coach. I mean, he coached LeBron. He brought them to a championship. You have Kawhi, who's a proven winner. You have a deep, deep team, 8-9 people, 10-person rotation. I want to believe in this team. I really do. The only thing I'm a little worried about is going into the playoffs, the Clippers were 4-6. The Mavs were 7-3. But there's no shot in my mind that just with this roster that the Mavs have that they could really contend with the Clippers. I just don't see how it's possible.
No.
Because Kawhi and Luka are a wash. Okay? We could say Kawhi and Luka are a wash. And that's big praise for Luka, but we could say that. Okay? But the rest of the team, I mean, it's not even close. Paul George could play the worst game ever, and the Clippers still have 5 guys that are better than the Mavs. Tim Hardaway has come into his own, though, so it's the one. I don't have an opinion on this series. I'm excited. I'm excited for both 4 or 5 seeds in the East and the West. I'm super excited for those series.
Listen, Trey and Luka on display, and Rip says Trey gets past and Luka doesn't.
This narrative that I want LeBron to lose or I don't like LeBron is completely misguided. I call it like I see it.
Let's hear you say it. Let's hear you say some nice things.
I'm about to say things as you cut me off saying that. And then I forget because I'm a stream of consciousness capture in the ride type of podcaster.
Okay, Holden. Let's hear some compliments about LeBron.
He has the best Reese's Cup hairline in the world. This guy, you're gonna take some heat, man. You're gonna take some heat. So, not if Gavin just clips only LeBron quotes and six me to the Coyotes.
That's it. You take some heat. So I don't know what I'm talking about because I said Peyton Pritchard. So I want each of you guys to come up with. It doesn't have to be a rookie. Each of you guys to come up with someone who's going to perform well in these playoffs. That their card value might see a little bit of an increase. Somebody who you would buy now leading into the playoffs, and you expect to see a spike of. And Rips, if you say Keita, we're not friends anymore. But I'll start with you.
Interesting.
Ian says Donovan Mitchell.
But no one knows about his ankle. Ian, do you have insider scoop?
How about his ankle, pal?
Oh, he's hurt?
Yeah, he's hurt. No, he's hurt. He's hurt. Next. The next card Ian brings is Ben Simmons. He says Ben Simmons might be somebody to pick up.
I brought that to you because we were talking about national treasure.
Okay. Go ahead, Rips. Who do you got?
Trying to be a little insightful.
You don't want to just say Michael Porter Jr.
No. Although I do think that for how well he's been playing, he hasn't seen the percentage increase that he deserves because he's been playing very, very well.
That's because the market already baked him in like last year into playing this well.
That is correct.
And half the people.
He's not cheap. I want to buy his cards, but he's not cheap. Like his Prism Silver is probably $1,000, if not a little bit more.
Yes, and that's the issue. That's an issue with a lot of the guys is that stuff is just already very expensive. If I don't know if this is maybe Andrew's guy, but if Keldon Johnson puts together a few games, if he believes in the Spurs, that can be pretty big, but that's not his guy. It's hard to predict who's going to win a lot of the matchups, which is why it's tough. Andrew, who do you think? I want to come up with someone really good.
Go ahead. I always go the opposite way of others, and it's caused me a lot of pain and disagreements and conflict in my life. But I'm a strong man, and I go. Last year, when everyone was like praising the GOAT, I went to the Tyler Hero and the prospects. This year, when everyone's looking for prospects, I'm going for the big guys. Curry, Giannis. I think those two guys. I think they have a clear opportunity to really show out. I think Giannis is interesting. His cards have been beaten to fucking shit. And if they make a big run, all of a sudden you're like, why did I sell my Giannis cheap when this guy's a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and now he's in the finals and he's 27?
Rips disagrees. He disagrees. He doesn't like Giannis.
No, I agree. He's 26, by the way. But I
How
do
old did I
agree.
say he was? 27?
Yeah. I think that I totally agree. I think that, especially when we just saw Brooklyn take down the Nets in back-to-back games, Giannis is also averaging 40 points against the Nets this year, and he's, amongst other stats that he's done well against them. I think we see a lot of people that are like, oh, wow, he's actually really good, and he's not just some guy who dribbles and dunks like James Harden has said in the past. James Harden is quoted by saying, if I were 7 foot, or like he's only good because he's tall and can run and dunk, something stupid like that. So that's going to be
James Harden's dating Amber Rose, who's a bald woman. So his judgment is
okay.
Skewed. Yeah, I was looking up. I was preparing for the NBA, and I was looking up different players. He dates Amber Rose. What's her name? What's his name? Wiz Khalifa's old girlfriend, the bald woman with tattoos on her face.
Good for him.
Who dates her?
James Harden.
Okay. So is that going to impact his performance in the playoffs at all?
Are we all solely talking about one thing? We talk about a lot of things on the
I'm
show.
talking about that. In Rocky, they say women weaken knees, right? Or weaken legs. So, I'm just wondering whether you think the step back is going to
what do they say about bald women? What do bald women do?
I don't have a fancy saying for that at all. I've yet to meet a bald woman. I'm looking forward to the next opportunity too, though. So Giannis and Curry are your big plays. So LeBron sucks, and he's going to get knocked out of the playoffs, says Andrew.
Accomplish both of those.
It's things that come up when I'm looking at stats on ESPN.
I'm like, wow, Rips is throwing in some stuff. And
yep.
And Giannis and Curry. Okay, that works. That works. That works pretty good. Rips, did you figure out one yet?
Since I believe in the Bucks, what if DiVincenzo goes March Madness on us and has some big clutch shots? He started every game for the Bucks this year. Could be an interesting one, but like the guys that have the real potential, whether it's like Devin Booker or MPJ or Luka or Tyler Hero even or whoever it is, the guys that people already just like Andrew said they pack the prices in already. Like these people are expensive. Like you can't recommend Randle's not really a great one. RJ Barrett could be sneaky. His prices aren't very strong, but then again, I also don't really think that he's the main guy on the team, nor is he gonna do anything crazy special. But he's someone that could be up there. Like Sabonis is already pretty pricey. If you think Jason Tatum's gonna drop 40 and he can, if Tatum is, you think single-handedly can somehow take down Brooklyn, like that's not something that's realistic to me. That's why I think that this stuff is tough. Bradley Beal, if the Wizards can actually take down Brooklyn, Bradley Beal NTs are like 20% of what John Morant's go for. I think his 9.5 now.
Yep.
Wow.
You say, oh yeah, I think a Beal National Treasure is only like $4 to $5 grand, and so I think that's a play. I've always thought that Kawhi Leonard was a play just because.
Finally, exactly.
Kawhi is just. I think that they're going to take down Dallas. I think it's possibly takes down Utah. The Clippers. And if he can make it down the stretch and people say, okay, this guy might win his third championship with his third team. I don't really see Clippers as actually doing it, but he's certainly going to get pretty far.
Why I like Kawhi is because the downside is just so minimal, right? And the upside is there, right? I mean, he's got his legacy,
always,
right?
Yes, he's the only downside with Kawhi, and I've talked about it before, is that he doesn't have a fan base Bucks guys buy Giannis, Suns fans buy Booker. You're not going to have Raptors fans buying Kawhi Leonard National Treasures. And I said it last time that Kawhi's prices are half of John Morant's on National Treasures cards and his high-end cards. And it's really just because I think that he doesn't have a fan base. But at some point, his Prism base cards, his National Treasures cards, and whatever, they haven't caught up. At some point, we're going to see people, and this could be a year where people are like, this guy has flown under the radar for far too long. And he's someone that could have a 50%, 75%, whatever it is, increase as long as he performs well. So Beal
Beal.
Beal and Kawhi are just established players who we know are very strong and have strong careers and don't have much downside. So those are guys that, as far as people who can get some short-term upside through the playoffs and long-term down the road if they succeed, those are two guys.
I'm gonna throw one out there that we didn't mention, and then I'll talk about. You guys can do this. It's Lillard. I think Lillard also is one that has very little downside, and if he pulls a couple of rabbits out of his hat here, could have some upside in his cards. And for the collectors out there, look to 2012 Prism for these playoffs. Pick the guy you like, right? 2012 Prism. If you want to go front runner, you want to go. I mean, as front runner as they could be for a play-in tournament. But if the Lakers do what a lot of people like, even Rips here, think they're going to do, and they're going to go back and win the championship again, or at least get there, that would be another one for Davis. Right now, you talk about multiple rings. Anthony Davis, 2012 Prism. You like Kawhi, 2012 Prism. Right? You like Lillard, 2012 Prism. You like Bradley Beal, 2012 Prism. These guys, they're all there. They all are in that 2012 Prism set, and they're all pretty beaten down from where they were at this time in the playoffs last year. Lillard going into the playoffs scoring basically 50 points. I mean, that card was like $3,000 at one point. Even the Davis card, he won a championship, and it's not anywhere near where it was. Kawhi, same stuff, right? Beal is really low, by comparison to those guys. So
I like it also because there's very minimal downside, not only in those players, but also in the set as a whole.
Yep.
2012 Prism is by far and away our Panini's most iconic set, similar to the Fleer 86 as far as iconic and potential. PSA 10s of those guys, like that set, say Bradley Beal loses, that set, he may take a small dip, but just it's not like it's some obscure card, some obscure brand. The upside is within the set itself and also the player.
Yep. So I say Hornets win the entire thing. Just kidding. But I need to hear from you guys. Andrew, who wins the entire thing? Who wins Chip?
I don't have that prediction. It's all going to be matchups. I'm going to take it case by case, week by week, and I'm not going to put my reputation on the line for some yayo so that our hecklers in the comments could come and get me. I'm not going to feed them anything. No Cheetos, Doritos for you guys.
So here you go, guys. We gave an NBA prediction show, and Andrew does not want to predict who's going to win the whole thing. Rips, you got one for us?
I'm gonna make a prediction, so then that way when I'm right, you can like go back and I look like a prophecy.
Right. And if you're wrong, we won't hold you to it because
I don't feel confident in it, but I kind of want to just throw something out for fun. I think that when I watched the last two games with Milwaukee versus Brooklyn, I think those guys are the front runners. When I watched those two teams play against each other, Giannis looked so strong, and Holiday putting up near triple doubles. And Durant was doing amazing. He's had 3-point games against him too. That's going to be, I think that series happens. I think, and that's going to be by far. I'm going to watch every single game the full length, which I never do. That's going to be super fun. And fun fact, I don't watch Giannis I don't watch every Giannis game. I don't watch every Bucks game because I get scared to watch him play because he plays way too hard for me to feel safe watching him, knowing that something iffy could happen here or there. So actually sometimes when he gets an insignificant injury like arm soreness or ankle sprain, I sometimes feel relieved because that means that I don't have to worry about him tearing his ACL anymore for the next 6 games. So seeing Milwaukee beat Brooklyn twice in a row, Giannis averaging 40 points against them, I think that Milwaukee makes it. And I'm going to put LA against them. I think that it's going to be Lakers versus the Bucks, and I think the Lakers pull it off in 7. I think LeBron's winning it. I think LeBron and the Lakers crew as a whole, Anthony Davis. I think that these teams are being smart about, like, Giannis didn't play last night, of course, which is great because they didn't need him to play. These teams are going to be smart about who they play because of the frequency of injuries this year. I think LeBron and AD are healthy to go at the end, and I think that Giannis gets to the finals, which is a huge step, and he does really well. But I think that LeBron and AD make it, they win it, and I think that does a lot for LeBron's GOAT.
And
If they were so smart, maybe they should get LeBron. Maybe they should get LeBron new shoes, so he's not wearing those clunkers that he's always just twisting his ankle in.
This is why Rips is here, folks.
I'm throwing it out.
Lakers winning it all, and
I'm throwing out Lakers,
San Antonio.
Lakers versus Bucks. Lakers take it in 7. That is my prediction.
I didn't know Rips was going to be on, but I'm more mad than ever that he was invited. Luca Nation Network, let us know. Do you want to see Rips as a part of Luca Nation Network? Do you want to see him spin up his own kind of NBA show, talk about investments? I mean, the guy's worst mistake was Kawhi Leonard, RPAs, rookie patch autos.
Otto Porter. Yeah, we had to pull your teeth for that one, though. Tell us about your take. Well, I did buy Kawhi Leonard. Oh.
Yeah, but it was different back then because I was spending like $100 per National Treasures, and Otto Porter was the 3rd pick, and I was spending like $100 per NT, and now the 3rd pick is like $8,000 per NT, so it's a little different. But yes, Otto Porter was my failed investment, but I still have it all and I enjoy it all, though I don't follow him anymore as a player.
I'll bet you his National Treasure is still worth significantly more than what you paid for it, though, just because everything's gone up.
Yes, they're right about the same. Although I have no interest in doing anything with them but letting them rot in my closet.
Bucks Clippers, Bucks win.
Ooh.
Nice.
So in order to give it back to him, okay, Rips tells you the Lakers win because LeBron's the GOAT and you don't like his peanut butter cup hair. But the guy who took Giannis to the prom comes on here and you predict Giannis is going to win a championship. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a fun one when this happens. All right, well, guys, the only thing left to add to this, the only little bit of business to close in here is the big guy here had a little bit of a difficult week. We started last Monday at 277.7, down about 11 points from the 288.8. I'm at 273.4. So we got a total weight loss in 3 weeks of 14.4 pounds. But this week, only about 4 in this week. It slowed down a little bit. That portion control, it's not working for me. And a little too much ice cream. But 273, we're down 15 pounds in 3 weeks. Not bad. Could be better, but we'll keep it going. And a big shout out to my Luca Nation Fit Family group, the Instagram group we got there. You guys are holding it down. Thank you for all your help and support.
I'm on my health journey with you, Cage, supporting you from afar.
Yes, I'm eating greens and you're smoking them. I understand how you're on the journey with me.
We've got an underage. We have a minor on the air. Come on now.
It's legal now. He lives in New York. It's legal in New York.
He's 17. He can't even buy Bitcoin.
Nothing's legal for him.
Or
it's
Top
legal
Shots.
For you. You can't buy Top Shot. Yeah,
if you're serious about weight loss, try a tapeworm.
Try a tapeworm.
Yes.
This is why we
try the lone lamp post of the one street town flickered, not quite dead, but definitely on its way out. Suitcase by her side, she paid no heed to the light, the street or the town. A car was coming down the street, and with her arm outstretched and thumb in the air, she had a plan. No lie. This is what we get. These are our comments on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, you got to get on.
Yeah. Thank you for that comment, Rips. It was lovely. We appreciate it.
RandomParagraphGenerator.com.
Have you ever gone to fuckyouautocorrect.com?
No.
That's
it's hilarious.
In one episode. 2 F-bombs in one episode, pal. 2.
With an underage.
You got me mad. You know this was my episode, and you created a debate. You brought on Bernie Sanders to meet up with Donald Trump, and I'm upset.
Wait, is Rip Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders? You're Bernie Sanders, right?
I'll leave it to the Luca Nation community to decide. I'm just talking at this point.
Well, listen, this is a fun one, guys. We appreciate it. Listen, if nothing else, it's going to be some fun games coming up. I love this play-in. I wish they were playing right now. I wish we could get started right now. But we get a day off. We get a little bit of a break. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see what happens. Thank you for coming on, Rips. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
Andrew,
Mr.
any final
Lopez.
words?
I've said too much already.
Thanks, Luka Nation.